It's asteroid versus supervolcano. Which apocalypse would be worse? For this, we'll start with the basics of each threat. Then we'll look at how long humanity has to prepare. Finally, we'll see what kind of damage they do, and what chances of survival there are. Let's hope it's not a combination of both. First up, the asteroid. We know that Earth gets bombarded by asteroids all the time. Most burn up in the atmosphere, and some land safely in oceans or remote areas. But if an asteroid were to slam into Earth causing mass extinction, it would be about 6 miles wide, that's around 10 kilometers. And it wouldn't need to hit a city, it just needs to hit somewhere. In fact, the larger the impact crater, the more dust it kicks up and the worse things will get. Cities close to the impact site would be vaporized instantly. But the real danger comes from the effects that follow. A big asteroid slamming into Earth would send tons of debris into the atmosphere. These particles would block sunlight and cause a global ice age. Plants would die off because of lack of sunlight, and so would most animals. The only survivors would be mammals that are small enough to crawl into a cave and hibernate until the sun returns. Basically, you'd have to be a ground squirrel. So when it comes to an asteroid impact, location matters. If it lands far from you, you might be okay, but it could also land nearby without actually hitting your city. And even then, you'd probably be alright. You'd survive the impact winter. In fact, you'd probably have enough food stored up to last several years. There's a lot that can go wrong before it's game over. But how much time would you have to prepare? Well, scientists usually only spot asteroids heading for Earth about a week or so in advance. The best case scenario, there'll be months or maybe a year of warning. People would definitely have to abandon cities, but they'd probably still be able to take a lot of supplies with them. So if you're worried about an asteroid impact, you should probably head out to the countryside and find a nice cave to hide in. Next, the supervolcano. Now, while asteroids are pretty apocalyptic, they're nothing compared to a massive volcanic eruption. In order for an eruption to earn the title supervolcano, it has to eject between 1,000 and 1 million cubic kilometers of material. And don't worry too much about the size of that number. Just know that it's bigger than anything humans have ever caused. About 75% of the material ejected would be ash, and the rest would be hot gas and rock. The massive cloud would expand in every direction until it spread across the planet. Ash would blanket the entire surface of Earth, covering cities, farmland, everything. The temperature of the gas cloud would rise to nearly 1,000 degrees Celsius. Any animal unfortunate enough to be outside would be incinerated instantly. At first, the area surrounding the volcano would be totally destroyed, but the intense heat would radiate outward for hundreds of kilometers. In the short term, it would be a good idea to move away from the volcano, but no matter where you went, the air you breathed would become hotter and thicker. And eventually, solid pieces of debris would start falling from the sky. What's worse, ash would fall over crops and poison them. Food shortages and famine would cause wars and anarchy. And unlike with the asteroid, there would be no nice ice age to look forward to. To make matters worse, the ash and debris would block sunlight and make temperatures soar. This would trigger a runaway greenhouse effect. So now you've got no water, no food, and no oxygen. You'd think that humans would need to leave Earth. Unfortunately, there wouldn't be anywhere to go. The gas and ash cloud would encircle the planet, and any spaceship unlucky enough to fly through it would be covered in ash. They wouldn't be able to land anywhere. Crews would have to stay in their ships for months until the cloud dissipated. In fact, the ash would circle the globe for years, and as it fell, it would kill every plant and animal in its path. Humans would struggle to survive for decades until Earth recovered. They'd have to live underground or in space stations, surviving on recycled water and freeze-dried food. So if you're worried about a supervolcanic eruption, you should probably invest in a bunker. But how much time would you have to prepare? Unfortunately, probably not much. Some scientists say that magma chambers under supervolcanoes are recharged during earthquakes. If that's true, then there would be foreshocks before a major eruption. In this case, people would have a few weeks or maybe a few days of warning before the end of the world. Now let's look at what would happen if you survived both of these apocalypses. First, the asteroid. An asteroid impact would cause massive climate change. Even if you stocked up on food and supplies, it would be hard to survive long term. But with careful planning, it might be possible. So what about the supervolcano? Even if you made it through the initial blast radius, you wouldn't be able to grow or import food after the volcano eruption. So starvation would be a serious problem. And remember, if the ash cloud covers the whole planet, there would be nowhere to run. So what would the world be like after both disasters? There would be no fertile soil, no fresh water, no breathable air, and no life. The asteroid would have killed most of the plants and animals, and then the volcano would have finished the job. It might seem like an asteroid impact would be worse because it happens faster, but the long-term effects of the volcano would be way more devastating. However, it seems unlikely that either of these scenarios would happen anytime soon. A big asteroid hitting Earth is extremely unlikely, and as for supervolcanoes, well, the odds aren't great. Scientists think that the next one won't happen for another 100,000 years, but in the meantime, there are other threats to worry about. Like what? Well, how about nuclear war? Check out this video to learn why it's really not worth it. Or click this other video instead. Come on, click it. Please click it.